So you wanted your daffodils to have beautiful blooms like these, but instead all you're getting are leaves, and that can be a little disheartening, but not to worry. We're going to go ahead and take a look at 7 reasons why your daffodils might not be blooming and how to fix them. If this is your first time here, my name is Marlene. Welcome to my home and garden channel. Daffodils, I just absolutely love them. They are one of my favorite flowers because they're one of the first ones that come up in the springtime. There are 36 species of them and over 26,000 variety of daffodils. Can you believe that? Anyway, let's get on to our first reason. And the first reason for them not blooming is that they're not getting enough sunlight. Daffodils, they are sun lovers, so they need to be put in an area where they actually get 6 or more hours of sunlight per day. I'll have a tip for you towards the end that will help you to figure that part out. But basically, you want to make sure that they are getting enough sunlight. Like these ones right here, we planted them behind our house. It's kind of like a wooded area, lots of pine trees. You can see the pine straws there and all of that. And because they're not getting enough shade behind the fence, they're just not doing very well. And they've been here for a couple of years now, so I will need to move them. And that is the beauty of it. If you are having them in an area that they're not getting enough sun, you can move them and put them somewhere else. And then the following spring, you most likely will get some beautiful blooms. Speaking of planting, this video that I did previously, I'm going to link it at the end. This goes through step by step and it shows you exactly how to plant them so you get a fuller look and you get the best results from your bulbs. But the next thing is that you just want to make sure that they're being planted at the right time. And that would be reason number 2. You can't plant them in the summer. You can't plant them far into the winter. You basically only want to plant them usually around October, I would say, is typically when we do those. And this, of course, if you're in the northern hemisphere, I think that would be April if you're in the southern hemisphere. Even until mid-November is fine. The next one is to make sure that you're planting them deep enough, because sometimes they're not planted deep enough. And if they're not planted deep enough, then what's going to happen is they get frostbitten at the top, and then it can damage the bulb. So you want to put them usually about 3 times the depth. So let's say that if the bulb is 1 inch, you'd want to put it like 3 inches deep. And you can basically do the math and figure out how it would work. And you can see these little ones popping up right here. If you have them, like, say, on an area where they're not out and getting, direct rainfall and all of that over the winter, you'll want to make sure you give them a good soak every now and then. And that being said, you want to make sure that your bulbs, if you are going to plant them, that they're not completely dried out and just flat. That means that they're dead. And if they're mushy and moldy, you have to toss them because those bulbs are not going to do you any good at all. And just to show you some right here, see, these are pretty, but if you look at the tips of the leaves, you can see that they're looking brown. And the reason was that these were not planted deep enough, and therefore when the cold snap came in early, they got, a little bit of frostbite. Of course, they still did okay, but you just want to make sure that you protect them by planting them deep enough in the soil. The next one is to make sure that you're not cutting back the foliage too early, the leaves, that is. Because typically, once the flowers fade like they have here, just like, okay, they did their thing. Normally you deadhead like your roses and things like that. But for daffodils and other bulbs like that, you have to leave them so that they can get enough energy, which is going to, by photosynthesis, and it gets stored down inside of the roots, which would be the bulbs in this case. You can see like a seed head forming right here. You can trim those off if you like, so at least the dried flowers are not there. Here's another one to the left over there. You can take those off if you want, but outside of that, the leaves really need to stay in place to provide food for the plant so you can be happy the next year. Over here, I just wanted to show you these ones that they faded out. We left them in place, but what we did to kind of, help out a little bit was to plant some flowers that bloom in mid-spring to the summer, and some of them even to the fall that are a little bit higher. You can put them towards them so they'll come up from the cold, and then they'll open up in time to hide the yellowing leaves behind them. So that works really, really well. So then the next thing that we're looking at is to make sure that the roots are not compacted, because these right here, they're growing among iris bulbs, and you maybe have seen my iris video. I'll link it at the end for you. But if they're growing in a compacted area, you really will have to go in and free up the bulbs. And sometimes it could be another plant that's doing it, like the iris bulbs right here. Sometimes it could be that they themselves have multiplied so much that they're fighting for the nutrients. They're all going for the same water, the same food, and it's becoming too competitive. So you want to dig deep in there with a shovel and take as much of the soil up as you can, so that way you're not damaging the roots, and you'll know that you're pretty good to go. And this might be a good way to plant them too if you're going to plant them with other flowers. If you have enough space like this right here. This was at the botanical garden, but you can see they have different type of bulbs. You have tulips on the right. You have the purple ones that were on the left just now. And they just blend so well together, and they're in their own little world. So you can, put them as layers if you want. But if you wanted to separate them, you could do it like this, and it will be perfectly fine. And I'd love for you to leave me your comments if you ever combine other bulbs with your daffodil, or you just grow them by themselves. And of course, you can enjoy them inside as cut flowers if you like to, as I did here. I started to decorate the area, and then I did a little bit more to it. Or of course, you can enjoy them outside. And be sure to smell your daffodils, guys. I'm telling you, it took me about 3 years to figure it out because no one told me that they smell so sweet. So whenever you get a chance, go ahead and give them a smell, and give me a thumbs up if you think you're going to try that to see exactly what I'm talking about. They're absolutely wonderful. And just to say that if you like gardening topics and tips, you love flowers, whether it be, flowers that are going to beautify your home, or just fruits and veggies that you grow in your yard, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap on the notification bell twice so you never miss an upload. The next thing sometimes is about cold. It needs to be cold enough. So if you're in a tropical area like, say, South Florida, Jamaica, the Caribbean, Hawaii, and all of those warmer climates, in most cases, you will not be able to get any blooms. You will be able to get the bulbs because they will sprout like an onion or, green onion or whatever, but you're not going to get blooms because these plants, they typically grow in growing zones 3 to 9, and that's kind of their limitation there as far as getting blooms from them. So, if you don't want to be disappointed and you're in those warmer areas, it may just be better to just enjoy them, like from videos like this, or just enjoy flowers that are being sold for daffodils. And they're just so, so wonderful. So, many different ways to enjoy them. And you can see how lovely they are right here. They're well taken care of, but you also want to make sure that you're feeding your plants, guys. Some soil, it's pretty good, pretty, fertile, so you don't need to do anything to it. But in some cases, you have to go in and amend the soil and, add things to it. And I'll link these in the description box below so you can see you can get them on Amazon. And that way you can just add them in when you're planting them at the time of planting the bulbs initially, or you can, just mix them into the soil and add it on to it. And then, of course, you put your mulch back on there. So they'll definitely love you for that. And, it will be worth your while. You can see I used some river pebbles to put mulch on them because it's nice to put a little bit of mulch too. And of course, when the time comes, you want to pull the weeds from there. The next one would be pests, and typically, our little squirrels here, they can steal bulbs sometimes for whatever reason. The chemicals in there, they do not like daffodil bulbs. So that's one thing you'll not have to worry about squirrels or other rodents stealing them. They don't like it. Slugs, on the other hand, they like the leaves, and this is becoming an increasing problem in recent years in some areas. So just be on the lookout, for that to make sure that, you don't have anything like pests on there. And I did a previous video showing you how to clear slugs by just using grapefruit, and I'll link it in the description box below for you. And of course, your other pests that can bother you, you have like the narcissus fly, you can get nematodes. But if you ever are inspecting your plants and you dig it and you see that the roots are damaged, just take them and throw them in the trash. Do not put them in the compost heap, and they should be good to go. Or if you see any pests that are, crawling on them, you can always spray those off. And this is why, guys, it is so important to always be inspecting your garden, because sometimes in just a matter of 2 days or so, you can have pest infestation coming in. So when you have the time, go out and take a look at your plant, see how they're doing, and then you'll know that everything is going well there. And now for the bonus tip, to keep plants on the sunny side of your home. Remember that the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. So you want to place them either south or west facing, and that way they'll get a maximum amount of sunlight unless there are large trees blocking that area. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope you'll check out the videos that I've linked for you. I thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care.